Bet you didn't think you'd see me again. Hello my friends, Blackendrose here, and yes, here I am. This is a semi-request clip, mostly because this is coming about from Jess through Twitter, also known as, I need to pull it up now, Indigo Jess, who expressed interest, and I hope that didn't just stall there, who expressed interest in Plague Inc., but was also seeking some tips on getting through it. So I decided to make this. This is my Plague Inc. Evolved game through Steam, not mine, obviously. And this is my how to destroy the world tutorial / tips / hints / game / me being an idiot /.com. Okay, so let's get this on right. So it's a standard main game. I mean, for those of you who don't know Plague Inc., then it's basically a game where you will create. Well, I say create. You sort of play this androgynous role of a disease / virus / effect / con. And basically the idea is that you are supposed to destroy all of humanity with your disease. So, I've finished most of the game. Simian Flu I haven't finished yet, and Shadow Plague I didn't even know had been put into the game. So there's that. But I have done pretty much all the other diseases. Necrovirus was a particularly nasty one. But basically what I'm going to go through here is it's a relatively useful method that works throughout pretty much all of them, except for the likes of like Simian Flu and Shadow Plague, which have their own mechanics. But basically, so we'll go with bacteria to start with. I'll probably do another one as well, just to finalise it. Now obviously I've got various genetic code modifications, but for the sake of people who don't have these yet, I'm going to remove all of them. But basically, the trick is you want to evolve transmission symptoms without you want to evolve transmission and infectivity without evolving severity until you've infected everybody. So you're going to want things, so like bonus DNA when devolving is a handy one. Cost to devolve don't increase is quite useful. That one I don't think is that much useful. At this point, getting bonus DNA is handy in all forms. Now, Darwinist is not that useful for the technique I'm going to go through, because it increases the chance of mutation, and mutations can give you symptoms, and symptoms make it easier for your disease to be discovered. Creationist is a bit better because it decreases the chance of mutation. That one's just a standard useful one. This one can be handy because it mutates transmissions. Same with abilities as well. What else we got here? Obviously I don't have all of them yet, so these ones just define how easy it is to spread. So those are pretty useful. Again, these ones just give you bonuses in various environments, so all of those are useful. So yeah, that's the basics. But for the sake of argument, this is a tips for people who haven't played much of this. So we're going to go from that. And let's see. I've done it on Brutal before. I think I have done Mega Brutal before. For the sake of describing this, we'll do normal. And no. I probably spelt that wrong, but I don't care. So my disease is going to be the fidget spinner. And for those of you who don't know what they are, they're basically like a little spinning thing that's been a growing craze in schools. And I thank you, Abby, also at Penguin Attack, for bringing that one to my particular attention. Check out her Twitter, check out her Mixer streams. She tends to play Overwatch, and I've plugged other people now for long enough. So let's actually get into the game. Okay, so let's get this started. So we need to select the starting location. Now, generally I tend to select Saudi Arabia because you start off with the bonus of like the temperature bonus, and also this place has lots of areas where it can spread to, plus it has an airport and a harbour. So the method I'm going to go through here does take time, and this is just a means to get you to your first few wins. Like once you start getting used to it, you can start developing your own methods. But this will just help you get through some of the initial diseases and get you used to the game mechanics. Okay, so pop the DNA bubbles as they appear to get more DNA points down below. As you start infecting more people, these DNA points will start growing on their own, and some of these bubbles will start appearing. So at the moment, we're just infecting a few people. I sped up the time up there. My fidget spinners begin to spread. Yep. So down here we see how many people we've infected. Now obviously it's an exponential growth thing. So the amount of people that you infect, it grows exponentially over time. So let me just close out of that. So clicking the red button down here will show you the various options. We have the overview, which is just the basic rubbish. Now down at the bottom are 3 very important scales, which is infectivity, severity and lethality. Now infectivity is fairly straightforward, how infectious your pathogen is. So the likelihood that your pathogen will infect other people. Severity, how severe your pathogen is, it doesn't explain this very well, but severity is a representation of how noticeable your disease is. So the higher severity, the more effort is going to be put into curing it, and the greater likelihood that it will actually be discovered at all. Lethality is how lethal your disease is, and later in the game that becomes important, because the whole point of the game is to wipe out humanity. So you need to have a disease that will wipe out humanity. Now, the method I'm going through is one that I've used a lot. So here we can evolve transmission mediums, and this basically just changes the infectivity. So if I select each one, it shows a little ghosted out bit indicating how it will affect the various aspects. Now, transmission methods don't tend to affect severity or lethality, only infectivity. So these are good ones to get early on. Symptoms. Now, selecting symptoms, you'll see that some of these have various effects involving infectivity and severity. Some are more infective than others, but they start to grow the severity. Later symptoms start affecting lethality as well, so they become more lethal. But for the method I use, I tend to avoid having any symptoms at all for quite a long time, and you'll see why. Now, abilities, this one is a little more interesting because this doesn't show up in the infectivity, but it does affect various aspects. So the ability to survive various climate temperatures, drug resistance, which is particularly in like high wealth areas, and bacterial resilience. Now, bacterial resilience is unique to bacteria. The various other pathogens will have their own special abilities, but we'll get into some of that a bit later. Oh, I missed a bit there. Now this here, this shows your general growth throughout the game, and also the cure status. Now, the cure won't start getting researched until your disease has been noticed. Now, generally, if you have no symptoms, your disease won't be noticed at all, so you can continue infecting people. And this is the crux of the goal that I'm working to, is to try and infect as many people as possible without being discovered. So let's get some transmission going. Now, air and water are very, very useful methods, are very useful transmission mediums. So I'm going to get the bacterial resilience as well, so that it survives climates better. So now, with air added onto it, we're infecting more people at a greater rate. There is also the chance that since I've added air to it, that it will transmit across planes as well. So far we've infected hundreds of people. That's fine. So as you can see, our DNA points are still growing, which is very handy because we're infecting more people. Now these are random events that can happen. Tsunami hits the Philippines and some people have died. So 4,112 people have died in the Philippines. Now that's not a result of us, but it's helpful to us. Now some events can be helpful, some can be a hindrance, and it's totally random what happens. So fidget spinners are affecting thousands of people. That's quite topical. I probably dated the episode with that. So let's go with water next. And let's get bacterial resilience 2, so that we can survive in other climates. Now as you just saw there, a plane just moved to Germany, which was a red plane. Now that means that the disease has moved over to moved with it, so it's moved to another country. Yep, and there goes another one. So this is where things start to grow a bit, start to manifest a bit more, is when your disease starts crossing the borders. Now, your disease can cross borders. Oh, this is topical. Brexit. That's brilliant. But anyway, your disease can travel. Okay, so medicine in Germany is slowing the infection. So if I evolve drug resistance, then it'll get better. So we're infecting more countries. Yeah, and a boat just went there. Yeah, so we're infecting a lot of countries now because of the infection mediums we have. And you'll notice that our disease has yet to be discovered. And we're more infectious than TB. Okay, so it said to get drug resistance, so let's get drug resistance. And that'll do for now. Now this method is a bit slower than like other methods that may exist out there, but this okay, now this is important. Insomnia has mutated. Now this is a problem, and we need to devolve that. Now you may think that was a bit of a strange thing to do, but any symptoms that do emerge will increase severity, and that makes it more likely that your disease will be discovered. And at this stage in the game, you really don't want that. You need to try and infect every landmass, and preferably every person, before you start evolving symptoms. Severe storm strikes heavily populated, so more people have died. This is a rather unfortunate run for the human population. So as you can see, Saudi Arabia is basically fucked. So let's keep infecting people. Now, as the disease continues to spread, more and more people are becoming infected. So let's evolve that to improve infectivity, and that'll probably do on that front. Because the idea is that we want to infect as many people as possible before we start evolving any symptoms. Now, there's a handy trick to that, and the trick is to try and get 64 DNA points before you start evolving the symptoms. Now that may seem like a lot at the moment, but believe me, this really starts growing as you start infecting the rest of the world. So just keep popping those DNA bubbles, and just keep the time. Now I haven't turned up the time to max, but as you can see, like, the number of people that we're infecting is rising like astronomically, and our DNA points are going up like stupidly. Now, one of the most important locations one of the most important locations you need to infect are some of these like solitude islands, especially Greenland, because as your disease starts to kill people, the various ports and airports will start getting shut down, which means diseases can no longer travel through them, and that becomes a problem later if you get discovered too early, because they'll start shutting down the ports and you can't get to these locations, and that means that you can't win the game. So you can like lock yourself into a corner in this, That's why it's particularly important to infect basically the whole world before you start evolving like killer symptoms. Okay, so let's start getting some more symptoms going. Now this one here is like absolutely brutal. Let's get, no, not that one. Oh dear. We'll get cold resistance as well. Okay, so because of that very very unique compound bioaerosol transmission medium that I got. Okay, so insomnia has mutated again. So let's get rid of that. We get 2 DNA points for it. So that isn't always the case with every disease. That's only the case with some pathogens. Anyway, let's keep going. So at the moment, our infectivity is quite good. Festival of Love in Finland. So yeah, so that'll boost infectivity. Okay, so our disease continues to grow. The various countries in the world have their own... Oh my god, more people are dying. The various diseases in the world... The various... we've got Greenland. The various locations in the world have, like, different stats. It's like rural areas, humid areas, cold areas, like... oh god, hiccups. Rich areas, cold, poor areas, things like that. And that plays into the various like transmission mediums such as livestock, rodents, birds, insects, blood, like the usual rubbish. Let's evolve that as well. Because at the moment, this is all just playing into how infectious our disease is. And so far, we're doing alright. Jesus Christ, insomnia! Like, go away. Various symptoms play into various effects as well. So, like, some of them can make people more less productive, more irritable, and that can play into like how the cure is developed. I think I need to evolve cold a bit more because Greenland is a very unique one to anyone who's a veteran player of Plague Inc. Because Greenland is... Fidget Spinner needs to evolve to kill. Yeah, Fidget Spinners are infecting the whole world, as I'm sure just about everybody suspected would happen. So at the moment... Now you see, this is why you want to have... You don't want it to evolve too often, because this starts happening. Now, for bacteria is the easiest pathogen to win. Right, okay, so we're basically infecting the entire world now. I think everywhere has been infected. Nope. So as you see, the DNA points have slowed down now because there's no more people to be infected. However, there are still quite a few... Nope, there we go. Yep, there's no more healthy people left in the world. So now this is where we go into the kill frenzy. And the trick I do for this is as follows. Coughing. Pneumonia. Pulmonary fibrosis. Total organ failure. And, well, that's it really. You see, severity has gone right up. So has lethality. That's the basic trick. Because total organ failure is the most deadly available. But what you can do now is you can get rid of the transmission mediums, because you don't need to infect new people. Everybody in the world is infected, and you get some DNA points back when you're playing the bacteria, and you can do that with the abilities as well. So, devolve, devolve, devolve. As you'll see, infectivity has gone right down. But we don't need infectivity anymore. And let's put Coma into the mix. And that's it. Now we just wait for people to die. Yeah, see, look, they've only just discovered new minor disease spreading. Well, we've already spread, and nausea's like that doesn't matter now because we're killing people. So, as you can see now, they've started working on the cure, and they're trying to shut down the ports now, but it's too late because I'm already killing the world. Now, you'll see that the cure is growing like quite rapidly at this point, and that can be quite daunting. But don't worry about that because we're killing more people than their cure is, and Italy's just broken down, so that's no longer working on the cure. So as more people die, there is less people working on a cure. Okay, so this is where the blue plane starts showing up. So if you click on the bubbles appear for this, it'll start disappearing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to evolve that and that. Now, these effects here are quite useful to have early on before, or these ones especially, because it decreases the speed that research can occur, and these ones here actually push it back. So these ones are good to have when it's getting a little bit out of control. As for symptoms, well, let's throw FIFA in there as well. At this point, all we want is lethality. We want to kill people. Germany's in anarchy. And see, look, we're getting more DNA points as well, which is quite handy for the actual killing process. So let's kill some more. And let's put tumours in there. So look, our lethality is just going up like insanely. So look, 42%, 43% on the cure, but it's slowing right down. There's no people left. Like, there is literally nothing more they can do. They can't stop it because everyone's infected. Everyone is dying. Fidget spinners are wiping out the world. I always suspected this would happen one day. I even have a fidget spinner, which was given to me. It's still in its box. I don't know why it was given to me. And the numbers go down. And there we go. Fidget spinner has successfully eliminated all life on Earth. And there you go. Completed in 918 days. That was on normal difficulty, and yeah, I wiped out humanity with the fidget spinner. So there you go. That's the basic tips on how to wipe out humanity, and I'll just let this play itself out. So as you can see, you start out small, and it's showing the details down here. You start out small, and then you start infecting. My God, it's like a bad case of acne. And you just start infecting the rest of the world through that. But the big tip is to focus on transmission to start with, and only on transmission. Like, avoid symptoms at all costs, and then try and build up your reserve of DNA points whilst you're infecting the world, so that you can go straight into a mass killing spree afterwards. And then once you infect the whole world, kill the whole world. The thing is, once you've infected the whole world, then you're already halfway there to winning, because you don't have to worry about people not getting infected at that point. And that's basically it. So there you go. I don't quite know how long this clip has gone on for. If you want me to do the various other pathogens, let me know in the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter. Yeah, you know the routine. But anyways, I hope this little helpful handy hint guide will help you with wiping out humanity with whatever disease you want. Now, this should help get you to the other diseases. Some of the harder ones require different methods. I have beaten them. I did have to do a little bit of research on a couple of them, especially the necrovirus, because that involves zombies and that can be quite difficult. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching me. Thank you, Jess, aka at Indigo Jess, for suggesting this, and thank you at Penguin Attack at Penguin Attacks for the inspirational idea of the fidget spinners to use to wipe out the world. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Blackendrose. I'll hopefully do some more clips if I can find the time. But take care of yourself, my friends, and I will see you in the next video, when there is a next video. Take care, everybody.